When the world gets weird and the bills get thick, you call on Clint and you feature Dick. One talks numbers, the other talks slick. Two dads, one mic, yeah, this could stick. Clint's crunching figures straight to the point. Dick's just here to laugh in the joint. It's the Clinterific Show, featuring Dick. Dick's quick with a joke, Clint's got the math. Together they'll balance your checkbook and your laugh. They'll talk finance, fun, and fatherly fails, with liquidity dreams and 401k tales. So grab your coffee, join us a ticket, the Clinterific Show, featuring Dick.
Welcome back to the Clinterific Show.
Oh, you started it?
Featuring Dick. Yeah, we're starting. We're hitting the ground in
Hey, guys.
in a hobbling sprint.
Absolutely. We're off like a hoid of titles.
What?
You know, a hoid of titles.
Oh, yes. A herd of turtles.
That's what I said.
Enunciation.
I enunciated it just fine. A hoid of titles.
Yeah. So this week we are going to be talking about a handful of things. We're going to talk about push versus pull motivations.
Ooh.
Then we're going to talk about the investing strategy and how that will allow you to create a plan for where you want to be financially. And we're trying a new segment this week where I am going to be given a scenario with a item, object, whatever that ends up being, from Mr. Dick here, where I try to guess what that object costs to either manufacture or what the price would be, having no foreknowledge of what that price or what that object is. And then I try to give you a legitimate and legal strategy for you to be able to deduct that item in your business.
Ooh.
And then we're going to...
These are goods and or services.
Yes, goods and or services. And we're going to probably expand this to a handful of other items as we go on. So, and then we're going to wrap things up with our Going Deep segment with Dick. So do you want to give us a brief preview of what we're going to be going into this week?
Hey, well, you know, I already gave a brief preview. If dear followers, you tuned in to the short I posted this morning, but in brief, we will be talking a little more about priorities.
Oh. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, let's dive right in. So, I was watching an interview a few days ago with Alex Hormozi and Tony Robbins.
Is that the carry the boats guy? Who's going to carry the boats?
I don't.
Oh no, that's Goggins. Sorry.
Oh yes, no. Alex
Who's going to carry
Hormozi.
the boats?
Yeah, no.
Like,
Alex Hormozi is a YouTube, TikTok influencer that has grown to prominence in about the last 4 or 5 years, if I had to guess. His kind of rags to riches story is that he started out selling gym memberships, I believe, and he was able to scale that into a gym business and then turned it into a company I believe is called acquisition.com, where they come in as essentially angel investors for small businesses that are looking for influx of capital and consulting and things like that. So he's grown to be a pretty good-sized influencer especially on YouTube. I believe he's in the multiple millions of subscribers at this point, and he has Tony Robbins on for an interview. I believe it was earlier this week. Anyway, so I watched the interview, and I don't typically like to get caught up in the anecdotes that a lot of these influencers can push out a lot of them are pushing this mentality that you got to just grind and grind and grind, and that's the only way you're ever going to become a millionaire. And the unfortunate part is that a lot of people buy into that. And here on the Clinterific show, I'm not going to give you any anecdotes. I'm not going to pretend like I'm a multimillionaire by any stretch of the imagination. I've got a fairly successful consulting and accounting business, and it's allowed me to do and work the way that I want and with the people that I want and get a huge level of fulfillment. But I'll give you whatever strategies I've uncovered and whatever I see from, firsthand experience through other clients and things like that allow you to tap in and use that wisdom for yourself. And if you can turn it into a way to monetize a skill or leverage growth or whatever you want to use it for, then, all power to you. That's kind of what we're here for. But I'm not going to just sit here and tell you that going out and waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning and grinding until 5 o'clock the next morning is the fastest, surefire way for you to become a millionaire. If it were that easy, everybody would be a millionaire. But there's always some level of luck and complexity and nuance to industries that you're going into, and I mean even just timing. That if you're not in the right timing, it may not work for you. So just kind of keep that in mind. But the reality is when I was watching this podcast, he did he asked Tony Robbins a question, and Tony Robbins' response was one of the best motivation answers that I've ever heard, and I've never really heard it put in this specific context. But the way that he worded it was talking about if you're starting a side hustle, a business, a calling. It doesn't even necessarily have to be, with your own business. You could be doing another job, something like that. He asked him about what do you use as a motivating factor for your direction in life, for your purpose. And he said that when you break it down, there's really two ways to look at it. There's a push or a pull. And so a push mentality, and I'm going to read it because this is what he said specifically. He said a push is when you have something, whether that's a sense of duty, a sense of responsibility, honor, a family, things like that, something that is pushing you towards achieving a specific objective. So if your objective is, I want to have $1 million so I can make sure that I can pay for my kids' education and I can set them up a fund to where they're not going to be stressed out about buying a home once they graduate from college, and I can set aside money for them to, when they get married, I can pay for the wedding and not have to be concerned about that. And those motivations come from pushing yourself towards those goals. That is essentially option A. And then option B, which is incredibly insightful, is treating the goal as a pull. So instead of setting it up to where you're looking at it from these are the things that are forcing me towards this goal that I need to achieve whether I want to or not, I have created a goal that by extension I am being pulled towards. I want that goal in my life. I want to have a beach house that I can go visit whenever I feel like during the summer. I want to have a Lexus LFA to drive that vehicle because that is my dream car. Right. Being able to set those as something that is pulling you towards your goal is option B. And understanding those two, dichotomies of viewpoint whenever you're setting up a career, a business, it being able to understand those pieces that will motivate you can open a lot of doors and help you create motivation where you didn't think motivation actually existed for yourself. So I heard that and I thought that was just an incredible, insightful thought about, hey, you know what? I'm going to try to move into a new business, a new career, a new calling. How do I keep myself successful? Well, think about it from those two perspectives, and maybe if you can pull both of them off, you kind of create the best of both worlds, and you have something pulling you towards it and something pushing you towards it. You're doubling your efficiency there.
You get a little bit of a tailwind.
Exactly. So
That's helpful.
yeah. So that was just kind of my insightful thought for the day. If you're out there considering, starting a business, changing careers, look at it from that perspective, and it may open your eyes a lot more to which direction you want to take that career, because it may not necessarily be the one that makes the most money, but if you're getting way more fulfillment from a job that's paying you a little bit less, that's a very motivating factor for you to continue doing that job and moving forward. So have you thought about things from that perspective in your career trajectory, Dick? Because I know, we're talking about things a lot of times in this segment from, my insights and perspectives that I've got from being in my own business, whereas you are
Right.
more in the traditional W-2, working for an actual employer,
Working for the man.
working for the man. Exactly. So,
Yeah.
and we've kind of talked about this a little bit in the past, but just kind of breezing over the subject, with your career changes and stuff like that, especially in the last, 3 years?
Yeah. Less than 3 years.
So obviously things have taken a significant turn in where you were 3 years ago versus where you are now. Do you feel like the job you're in now is giving you the same level of fulfillment? Because I would say, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that every impression that I've ever gotten of you about, what career trajectory you wanted, you were kind of on a specific path, and that took a very sharp left turn a few years ago, and now you're in a completely different industry than you were. So
Yeah. So, I mean, yes. That is definitely There was definitely we'll say it was a formational time in my life, which, at the ripe old age of whatever I am, was not really the greatest time for it. But it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, I've talked about it before. Some of my philosophy on life is, things happen and you have the only control you really have is how you respond. But um, in my previous career, it was very purpose. Oh man, I don't know how to say this. Now that you put it to me, I'm trying to think of how this best to describe it. Um, the type of work that I was doing, really the type of work that I am doing now, is also very service driven. Our economy is very service driven right now. Um, we're not so much of an industrial economy anymore as we are a service economy. So I'm definitely that's part of what I was doing. Um, and I had identified several years ago that, I felt like I had a particular thing that was my purpose. And um, I was unceremoniously let go from that position that was very fulfilling for me. Um, and suddenly I didn't know what I was supposed to do with my life. And this is where I would say, like, when you've got a passion for something that you want to do, and which is great, like that's awesome. Like, be excited and enthusiastic about doing something. Um, but I think that you potentially set yourself up for a certain amount of failure or heartache if you wrap your identity up in that as well.
Yeah.
So, yes, like be passionate, and if I were to go back and do like if I were to have the opportunity to do that kind of job again, which at this point I'm not sure that I would definitely attack it with some of the same levels of enthusiasm and dedication that I did. But I would definitely, from a personal perspective, I would treat it a little bit differently. Whereas I was, 110% in on this career, and I let it kind of define who I was. Now I work a different kind of job, and it's a job. It's a job I go to. I I don't dislike it. I'm not in love with it, and I don't want to be. And I'm not sure that I want to be with another job ever again because of kind of where that puts you.
Yeah.
And I decided that it was important that I did something that I could disassociate from when I go home.
Yeah.
Like that part was very important that I didn't drag my work baggage into the house with me. And for the last couple of years, that's been pretty easy because I started from the bottom. And
Right.
for those of you that are like you're not happy with what you're doing right now, and you want to make a career change, but you're scared or you're nervous or anxious or you just don't want to have to start over all the way from the bottom, I guess the only thing I can say is don't wait for someone else to make that decision for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that philosophy because that's one of the things as far as pulling the trigger and starting this business that I've been working. It was one of the hardest and most difficult decisions that I've ever had. And it's coming purely from a person who is incredibly change and risk averse. I mean, I went into accounting for a reason. The reality is that is as stable of a career path as most people could choose. And even now, with developments in AI and things like that, and changing the career landscape for seemingly thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people in the next few years, things could be very different by 2030, which is not that far away. But that being said, I still think that when I got to a point where I was looking at my job and waking up every day, not just not liking the job, because I think there's a difference between just not being in love with your job, kind of like what you're describing, and actually hating what your job is doing to you. When you get home and you feel like you've had a piece of yourself taken from you to do that job. Because the reality is when you pick a career, you should get some level of fulfillment from it. It may not be enormous, and maybe that fulfillment is, giving you enough money so you can pay for the thing that you do or want to do that gives you the fulfillment. But
Right.
you should get something out of it. And so often people are stuck at a dead-end job. And when I say dead-end job, I'm not talking about a job that's just, it's not going to pay your bills and it's not going to allow you some level of growth. But there is, we've watched our parents and their parents go through their entire career path. And now that we're in our 40s, our parents are at the point where we're, they're approaching retirement, if not handily in retirement. And they're talking about, oh yeah, I got passed over for this promotion and this promotion and this promotion. And I tried for this job and didn't get this job and I didn't get this. And it's so frustrating and infuriating to watch somebody who has put 20, 25, 30 years into a company and just get absolutely no accolades, no reward, no recognition. other than, oh, hey, we're going to give you a trophy that you could go to the store in town and pay $30 and have your own
Yeah.
made, you know.
Right.
And so having that level of fulfillment from your job is so necessary and important that if you're not getting it in some form or fashion, then it really is going to cost you a lot more than just a little bit of frustration now and then to keep moving along with something like that. So
Yeah.
anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just
No, you're good. And I agree with you. Like like I said, I think one of the biggest things that came out, one of the biggest positives, I was telling my wife this is, I decided what was more important was to to just have a job that would pay my bills and allow me the time to do other things that I want to do, spending time with my family, etc., which I'll get into more in our going deep section. But also it kind of gave me a little bit of confidence knowing that if this one doesn't work out, why can't I just go try another? Like, I think
yeah.
that's another thing that people get cold feet on is they go to school and they get a degree and they pigeonhole themselves into a particular line of work because I paid all this money for this degree and I'm trained, and so I can't do anything else. And that's just categorically not true. The field that I'm working now has nothing to do with what I learned in college. I have a bachelor's and a master's that are both in a completely different field. And I stopped working. I would s- I would say I was let go from that job, but I also chose not to pursue other positions in that same line of work because I was just kind of jaded or what's the word, disillusioned with that whole thing. So I decided to try something completely different. And a friend of mine was like, "Hey, you should try applying at my company." He works in a different department, but he was like, "Hey, you should try working here." And the funny thing is like I was working so hard at my previous job, just putting all this effort and time into it, way above and beyond what a normal salaried worker should, and getting zero recognition from my supervisor. And within the last 2.5 years at this new company that I had no previous training, they trained me. They did the training. I have been promoted 4 times.
Yeah, that's incredible.
I'm almost back to my and I started hourly too, and now I'm salary. So I had a promotion after my first promotion, my second promotion, I went from hourly to salary, and I am getting near to my same salary amount. Why can't I think of a good word for that? I'm almost back to getting paid the same as the field that I spent 10 to 15 years
Yeah.
in,
Yeah.
in less than 3.
Yep.
So
With a completely new
but
skill
that
set, completely
completely
different
new skill
career
set,
path. Yeah. Which
right?
means that
But I
obviously your
had
trajectory means you could be getting even more in the next 3 years with that kind
right,
of promotion schedule.
and the company that I work for now, that's much more possible because they have a much better promotion and incentive structure, whereas I was one step away from being maxed out at my previous job.
Yeah.
And then
Where do you go from there?
else?
You work for
Yeah,
another
exactly.
20, 30 years on the exact same pay scale other than cost of living adjustments,
Yep. No,
Yeah.
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of like, like I said, give yourself, the opportunity to thrive. And you might be surprised. I was surprised at how well of course I was very cognizant of my, what's the word I'm looking for? Shortcomings in this new field.
Yeah.
So I tried to do what I could to offset those by learning as much as I could. Yeah, very short. It's cold in the office sometimes. That's all I'm saying.
That's what you get for living up north.
Yeah, I know.
Although I live down in the south, and I think it was -3 last night.
Dang.
Yeah. Coldest it's
Did
been
you
here.
guys-
Of course, we have the most insane weather because on Christmas Day, I kid you not, it was 80 degrees.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, I guess weather is on shuffle now. Apparently, that's
Right.
what global warming means.
Yeah.
We're just going to give you random weather throughout the day. Here, try this.
I saw Jordan posted a couple of reels of him plowing his lawn and then mowing it.
And then mowing it, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I know it's for the tube, for the talk, but holy crap, man. Give the grass a break,
man.
maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Does it ever go dormant? Apparently not,
Well, not where you live, apparently. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's 80 degrees on freaking Christmas.
Exactly. Up
the heck?
until last week, he actually needed to keep mowing it.
Right. That brings up a good question for me. Do you even have a snow shovel down there?
I don't.
How many snowplows are in the entire state? 2, 3?
Snow plows, I would say probably not many because we had this enormous amount of snow, which, I mean, if you asked anybody further north than St. Louis, they would say that this is a measly little dumping of snow. But I think we got about maybe 8 inches over 2 days. And I'm telling you right now, if I could take the camera out to our driveway. Our driveway's cleared because one of the neighborhood kids came over and said that he wanted to shovel the driveway, and I gave him $30 to do it because I'm like, that's a great investment as far as I'm concerned. This is a kid that's getting out there and getting his hands dirty,
Saving
and
your back.
making some money for himself. And but the road still got snow on it, and probably will for another 3 days. It might melt tomorrow because it's supposed to be. I think. Wow, there's a. Got him. Yeah, that's probably pushing it. It's probably about 6 inches. It's hard to tell because, like, we don't get just, like, snow that falls down because I live in Tornado Alley, so it's...
6 inches, right? This is 6
Yes.
inches? This is about 6 inches.
Yeah, about 6 inches. No, it probably was about 6 inches because there was quite a bit of snow. But
You got more than we did then.
the only thing is the main roads, they scrape those off, and then the back roads, figure it out yourself. School, I believe, is going to be canceled for the rest of the week because of the roads. I'm not even kidding. Like, it's it's that bad. So,
dude, okay, so Monday we had like a -8 degree. Kids were still going to school. My neighborhood still has not been plowed. The city won't plow our neighborhood for some reason. I don't know why.
yeah.
And there's still some snow on some of the main roads, and classes in session.
Yeah.
Figure it out. Get there.
Yep.
Wow, you guys don't have no school all week.
Yep. The problem is people. It's really just the reality of people not understanding how to drive on snow, which is sad. It's not even ice. It's just snow.
Yeah, I lived in Atlanta, Georgia for a minute, and I remember how much they freaked out. But Atlanta drivers couldn't drive with a slight breeze either. They were idiots.
Yeah. It's one of those things that's funny because, like, I don't live in, like, the very far south. I live in northwest Arkansas. close to Fayetteville and Rogers and Bentonville, where Walmart headquarters is. And
Just
so,
give the ladies and gentlemen your address, why don't you?
yeah, if they wanted it, they could get it. Just you can hack into Google. I'm sure Facebook has all of my information, and with the number of data breaches that have happened in the last 10 years, if somebody wanted to come get me, there's nothing really I could do to stop them. So,
I'll come get you.
yeah, giggity. But but it's so funny because obviously we're not super far south or anything like that, but the school that I went to high school with, we had some kids that came up from, I think they lived in New Orleans, Louisiana, and so the school that I went to was a private boarding school. They would come up there and live in the dorms. Well, it was, I mean, they came up there when they were freshmen, so 14, 15-year-olds. It snows one time a year here. That's about how frequently we get snow. Like, we'll get one decent snow a year. Every once in a while, we'll get two. And then about every 10 to 15 years, we'll have a snowpocalypse, which is what they called this past weekend, which was anything over 4 inches of snow is the snowpocalypse. Because there's
Anything over 4 inches
there's like
is pretty good.
Yeah, there's like 15 snowplows in the entire state.
If that.
Yeah. And they went outside freaking out because they had never seen snow before, which was just hilarious to me because I'm like, okay, you're 15 years old. How in the world have you never seen snow? But apparently, if you live in New Orleans, you're close enough to the Gulf that you do not see snow. So
it's absolutely true. Absolutely true.
Yeah. But
what were we talking about? I don't even
we were
remember
talking about career, push and pull. With what your career path is, and we started talking about like where you ended up. Well, I've said this many times, but as much as I was probably 5% of the anger that you were at because of the way things shook out with that job, I was also happy about it as well, because the reality was that job had you in Washington State. I hadn't seen you in like 10 years or something like that, and now
I came to your wedding.
Well, remember? I mean, but like any kind of regular, basis. Like,
okay.
I got married in 2018. It's 2026, dude. I think we had seen each other like one time since then.
Dude, it's a 3-day drive.
Yeah.
From there to here.
Yeah.
And like that part definitely sucked. It was hard to be so far away from my family, especially when I started having kids and stuff, and like that part was tough. But
even more so,
it's good to be back.
Yeah, but even more so, like, we talked about it from a perspective of, it was frustrating to lose job, and now you had to change your career trajectory. But I think something else that, that I kind of took in from switching career paths, which I didn't really change into a completely different.
Yours like a lateral.
Like, I was like, okay, I'm on the same career path. I just am in a different ladder rung within that path, because I was working as an accountant previously. But the reality of what really stuck out to me is that I was able to find a different level of fulfillment that I was not getting before. Because when I work with the clients that I work with now, I can tell when they're happy with what I'm doing, because the reality is our business growth has been nothing but organic. We don't do a ton of advertising. I have we have a Facebook profile and a Google business account and all that stuff to give us some level of presence, but we don't really advertise in any capacity. We've ran 3, maybe 4 ads in the entire time that we've been in business, and gotten literally not a single. I think we got 3 calls from one of them, and they were calling us about something that we did not do in any capacity. So it actually ended up being worse because we had people calling
Hey,
us at 1 o'clock in the morning asking for something that we didn't do anyway.
do you
So
guys make bread? Do you guys
yeah,
sell
yeah,
loaves of bread? You
yeah,
guys are the ones that make bread,
yeah.
right?
This is the bakery, right? No, no, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Who's making bread at one?
Why?
Yeah,
Somebody's making bread.
yeah. Oh man, yeah. I gotta need that dough. So anyway, um, but yeah, so like changing and finding a different way of letting myself experience that fulfillment.
Hmm.
Even though it was in a largely similar career path to what I was already doing, whereas
Right,
somebody
right.
like you, where your fulfillment was coming largely from the career path,
Yeah,
and then you're in a completely different career path. But the great part
right.
about that is all you got to do is just transition where you were getting the fulfillment from your job to
Hmm.
not your job that you have in your free time. Because the other thing, I
Right.
remember you telling me you were working a crazy number of hours. I mean, you were working 100+ hours a week,
Yeah.
which
No, I was.
I realized that.
It was constant.
Right, I realized that it was not like full blown. I'm doing manual labor the whole time, but you're still in responsibility mode for
Yeah.
the job at a large number of hours per week, and 100 hours a week is not sustainable in any capacity. You're going to burn out. So
Oh
even if
yeah,
you you would.
and people regularly do. It's like,
Right.
and that was part of the problem too, is that there was a lack of recognition of what kind of
Yeah.
toll that takes.
Yeah.
Like, you're asleep during part of your shift, so I mean, that really doesn't count as like full-time work, right?
Hmm.
That's like, but no, no, legally it does not,
Yeah.
and you cannot tell me, because it's like, all right, as a parent, like I
Hmm.
sleep differently than I did as a
Yeah.
single or a
Exactly.
just married adult.
Yep.
But then you add into then the equation being on call for your job, in an environment where your intervention can mean, um, the is significant. We'll
Right.
just say that
Yeah.
to other people, very incredibly significant. And so then anytime that you're on call when you go to sleep, like, you have to be reachable, you have to be available.
Hmm.
And so your brain, I think it just operates a little bit different. There were times where, we had breaks, and when we had some of those breaks, we didn't always have a complete, like, I wasn't always able to completely turn off. But on the ones that I was, when we were completely free of those responsibilities, um, I could tell I slept different.
Yeah. No, I
Um,
get that.
and so, like, now,
Excuse
like,
me.
obviously I was getting, like we said, I was getting a lot of fulfillment from the work that I was doing in that
Hmm.
field. And I'm being intentionally vague here. I'm sorry if that
Yeah.
annoys any of you guys who are listening, because it's a whole it's a big story, and it takes a lot of explaining in context. People who know me and know Clint, and are from, our friend group, they understand. I don't have to say what it is, and they will
Hmm.
know. But for the rest of you normies out there who are maybe seeing this, like, it takes a little bit of contextual explanation.
Yeah.
So not wanting to take the time for that right now, I'm being intentionally vague. Um, Now, though, my focus, I could tell I needed to shift my focus to be more about my family, and that was where I decided I wanted to go forward with a job that, like, I wasn't super, like, it's not that I don't enjoy it, right?
Hmm.
But it's not my passion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. It pays the
if
bills.
tomorrow it pays the bills, basically. And I watched
Exactly.
when I was going through this transitionary period. A friend of mine told me about a YouTuber called the Self-Made Millennial, and it's a woman who talks about, basically advising millennials on doing stuff like creating resumes and how to transition in the professional world and stuff like that. And she talked about the value of a boring job, um, a job that you go and do
Mm-hmm.
so that you can go do other things.
Yep.
And that's kind of the approach that I've taken. Now, my personality is very outgoing. I'm very extroverted. So I've already kind of hold out my little niche in the company, and a lot of people really like having me there. I can't help that. It's just how I am.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make waves. I'm loud.
Yeah.
I like to laugh and have fun, and that's part of my success there as well. People have recognized that
Yeah.
I'm a good person to have on the roster. But to be honest, like my goal there is not to make it a forever home.
Yeah.
It's a place that I can you know, work to pay my bills and spend more time with
Mm-hmm.
my family and not have the level of stress that I had before. So my time with my family can be of much higher quality
For sure.
because, my kids are growing up and in another 10, 15 years, they're going to be gone. Um, and to be nice to generate some good rapport and memories with them so that when they leave the house,
They
they
don't want
do
to stay gone.
so. Right, exactly. They
Yeah.
they leave the house begrudgingly. They don't leave the
Yeah.
house like they're, running away from it.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. And honestly, there's so much value that people don't really understand, and it's being pushed against in our society so much.
Yeah.
Family's where it's at. You want real fulfillment. Make sure your kids love you and they're good people. That's going to give you more
Well,
fulfillment than a lot of things.
for all of our sakes, please make sure your kids are good people. We don't
Well,
want to
yeah,
deal with your little
obviously.
shits.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Oh man, ain't that the truth? But yeah, so uh it's interesting that you say that because that's I feel like for me personally, obviously I'm an accountant. I went into accounting because I am perfectly comfortable every single day just being glued to a computer screen, and if I didn't have to talk to anybody, I'd be good with that. Now, I'm not the extreme introvert. A lot of people look at introverted and extroverted as like you're either one or the other. I've realized that it's more of a spectrum of
You're definitely on the spectrum
I'm
there.
definitely on a spectrum, whatever that is, but from a perspective of introverted versus extroverted, I would say I'm probably like on the slightly introverted side of introverted, or of the scale. So like if there's a dead center, I'm on the slightly introverted side. I'm comfortable
Okay.
being there, but I'm also okay talking to people as well. As long as I'm not on stage talking to 200,000 people, if we start having 200,000 people watch this, I might start getting a little bit more reserved.
You got the barf trash can next to you
Yes,
still?
I have it right
That's good.
here for when things go crazy for us. But
I was gonna say, you're introverted, yet here you are on the internet's talking to billions of people.
well, and
Potentially.
it's one of those things because honestly, I've had to force myself to become a little bit more extroverted, and it's one of those things. I view that as a skill, just like anything else. Being able to articulate your thoughts and have conversation with people, and you know have any kind of meaningful interaction with people. That's a skill set. I've got to practice it, so I've tried to
Yeah,
create
that's true.
opportunities in my life to I worked for for an auto mechanic shop for about 3 years. I had to interact with new people every single day because I worked in the quick lube. So if you needed to get greased, I greased you. And but seriously, like it was one of those things where I
missed out on that
when
part of your life.
when I started that job, the thought of talking to somebody I did not know, hated every second of it. I used to be one of those people who didn't even want to order their own food at a restaurant. So I started that job, and believe I was just about to turn 19 when I started that job. Worked there for a year.
Okay.
Went to college, came back, and worked there for a couple more years. Had to interact with new people all the time, and
Yep.
it's one of those things where I just feel like it was a very good experience that allowed me to get experience talking to people,
Right.
that were not my family and close friends at that point, and it made a difference. So. Yeah, but anyway, so as I was thinking through what you were talking about. Oh, go ahead.
So you're telling me I missed out on introvert Clint?
Yes, you did.
Because
Yeah.
we didn't meet until we were in our like mid-20s.
Yeah, I
early
believe
mid-20s.
I came up and visited when you were in college with Aaron,
Yeah,
because you were the RA on his floor.
I was.
That was when we met. I believe I was 21, so you may have been a couple years older, because I was at Union when I was 20. So,
I would have been 23 or 24, I think.
okay, so it was almost 20 years ago that we met. But yeah, we didn't know each other before that.
What?
Yeah, so I was
20 years?
yeah.
Stop it. I'm not that old. I'm like 26 now, okay?
Yeah.
I'm still like 26.
But yeah, I was significantly more quiet and reserved. I mean, I've always been kind of goofy, but I was way more quiet and reserved before I got to college, and even more so before I got to high school. I did not go to a single dance or anything like that at our school for the first 2 years in high school.
Really?
Didn't go to a single one. Yeah.
I don't think I missed out on a single one for 4 years.
Wow. Yeah.
No, I know I didn't actually.
Yeah. No, I was busy playing video games and nerding out.
I mean, I did my share of that too,
Yeah.
as you know.
But it was really funny. I was talking to Aaron the other day. We were talking about that story because I told him he needed to check out the podcast because we talked about the Halo showdown with Chris, and I actually remembered when I was talking to Aaron that Chris was not actually on the same Xbox, so we were not playing split screen. He was actually playing at home. He just joined our game, which is why it was so funny, because me and Aaron are just sitting there laughing uncontrollably because he just was beating them so handily. But
So handily.
I was gonna look his information up, and I don't remember how far up he got ranked, but he was ranked in Apex Legends at one point. Like,
No, I played that
I
game
believe he
for
got
about 10
recruited by a couple pretty high up teams
Really?
at some point. Now, Apex Legends is a few years old at this point, so I don't even know if it's still that relevant. But he was.
I think they still play it.
Yeah, but he was pretty high up ranked in that. I don't know the exact numbers. I'll see if I can find it for the next podcast. But I just wanted to issue a retraction because I realized that some of my details were remembered incorrectly because it was 20 years ago.
You're getting old.
Yeah.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. So yeah, the next segment that we're gonna jump into is we're gonna see how good I actually am at knowing and understanding what things cost and how much they would sell for, and see if I can come up with a strategy on the fly for how somebody could legally deduct something. So the way that this is going to work is this information has not been seen by me in any capacity. I don't know what Dick is about to read to me, and I'm going to see if I can guess how much it cost. Or now, when I say cost, it's either going to be how much it costs to make or the price if you were to purchase this good, service, fill in the blanks. And then after I give you the cost or price, I have to give you a strategy for legitimately utilizing that as a business expense. So I'm ready whenever you are, Mr. Dick.
Yeah. All right. All right. All right. So I got a couple scenarios for you
Okay.
tonight. All right. We'll start with this. Do you want to know the name of it to start?
Sure. You,
Okay.
you,
Well,
you give me the information in any format that you will,
Okay.
and I'll give you I'll give you the response.
All right. So scenario number one. We're doing agricultural drone orchard mapping.
Okay.
Well, get your pen. Yeah, get your pen out.
Agricultural drone
AGRI. Yes.
orchard
Orchard
mapping.
mapping. Yes. All right. So we
Okay.
have a small Arkansas-based agricultural services company that offers orchard and crop health mapping using drones. They work with orchard owners and large farms to identify irrigation problems,
Okay.
stressed trees, and yield concerns. Okay, you following?
Okay. Yeah.
So it sounds like they're gonna fly a whole bunch of drones
Yeah.
over your orchard and go, "Hey,
Okay.
look, these ones suck, these ones don't."
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I'm being reductive, but you know.
No.
Anyway,
That okay. So that's painting a picture for me, so I have an idea about what the
Sure.
service is. Okay.
okay, I got more. I got more.
Okay. Go ahead.
Are you ready?
Yes.
It's not. This is not crop spraying, which, by the way, is pretty freaking cool. I got a story about that. Anyway, the service involves flying over farmland, capturing data, and delivering a digital report that includes maps and written insights.
Okay.
So you've got a couple of different things that they're giving you there, data and reports, right?
Okay. So you're getting a data log regularly. Okay. So let me ask a question: is this
Sure.
a subscription model? Like, is this something that you can pay to have regularly done, or is this a one and done price?
Let's see. This is a per job.
Okay. Okay, so it's just one job. So they're going to come in, they're going to use their software, they're going to use their drones, they're going to give you some reports, and then your business makes decisions based on those reports. Okay.
Right.
So
Okay. Are you ready? I got some more details.
okay, go ahead.
All right. So some details here. The service covers roughly 120 to 180 acres.
Okay.
Flight time has to be under 90 minutes. There's a 1 day turnaround on the reports. You have an operator that is FAA Part 107 certified. And the company owns the drone sensors and mapping software.
Okay. Okay, so this is a one-time job. They come in, they own all of the equipment and everything. They do everything. The only thing that you're getting from them is essentially the finished reporting.
Yes.
And then the value of essentially the time that they're taking to do said reporting.
Sure. I mean, you do.
It's
what
probably
you do with the
largely
report.
automated because of their software. So, okay.
I mean,
Is there
the FAA licensed operator? You gotta.
Well, no, I'm talking about the reporting that happens with like what the drone does. So, because I've
Oh, I see what you're saying. They've
Yeah.
got algorithms and whatnot. Yeah,
right,
yeah.
exactly. So that's my thought process. Okay, is there any other details?
Nope. Those
Okay.
are all you get.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to say a number, and
Okay. And then are you gonna explain it?
and I'm going to. I don't think I'm going to explain. I'm just going to let you tell me how close I am to that number. And
Okay.
you can give me two guesses.
All right.
Because I think I can do it in one, but let me see if I can. Let's do two guesses just in case. And so what I'll do is I will guess, and you can say four responses: way higher, a little lower, and way lower.
I hate those scales, but okay.
Okay, I can make it easier for you. Just do higher and lower.
Okay, I like that.
Or not even close. Like if I'm completely not even close, then say that. So higher or lower, or I'm way off. Okay, so I'm gonna say for this, and they are based in Arkansas.
That's what it says. Yes.
Okay, so for a one and done service, to have these reports done, including the 90 minutes of flight time and 1 day turnaround, I'm going to gamble on $1,250.
So I have a range of a price. Okay. And
I have not seen these numbers at all.
You're right inside the low end estimate.
Okay. So
it estimates $1,200 to $1,800 per job.
Okay, so my second guess would have been $1,450.
Oh my gosh! Higher pricing applies when advanced analytics or historical comparisons are included. So basically, your base rate for it is going to be about $1,200, and then if you want them to calculate like a history based on previous jobs and whatnot, it's a little extra.
Okay.
Wow. So there's a
I gotta say, I'm surprised that I got it that close. I'm not gonna lie. Like this is one of those things. I don't know why I know this stuff, but this has been like the 15th or 16th time where I was like, I'm gonna throw out a number, and I was really really close. So so what I want you to do now is give me a random business. You decide. And I have to figure out how to make that a legitimate deduction for them.
What do you mean by a random business?
Any business, because obviously this is going to be farms are going to be like, yeah, obviously a farm needs this service done. A farm is not going to have to argue to the IRS about deducting this business expense. But GameStop might, does that make sense? So
okay, no,
so you give me a random business, industry, whatever, and I will see if I can come up with a strategy that you can legally deduct this as a business expense.
Yeah, all right, I'm picking up what you're putting down now. Okay, all right. Let's see, a random company.
And it can be anything.
This is definitely inflammatory, but I was going to say a Somali grocery store. But anyway, moving on.
Somali grocery store. Hey, you know what?
Let's move on. Okay. What's that?
Yeah.
How about an auto body shop?
An auto body shop. Okay, that's a good one. Okay, so this is agricultural drone orchard mapping. Okay.
Yes.
So, here's what I'm gonna do. Okay, I've got it. So I'm looking at starting a auto body shop. I am looking at a specific piece of land that is along the edge of an existing orchard that has been there for a long time. I am buying a piece of that orchard to convert into my auto body shop, and the cost of confirming that land is legitimate for me to put a pit, because a lot of auto body shops and things like that have to have lifts, and some of them might have a quick lube and things like that. So they have like the carve outs underneath the track where you can drive over it with the oil changes and stuff like that. Have them come in and do an oil survey to make sure that there would be no geological reason for you to not be able to put a shop there, and you can roll that into the cost of capitalization in building that building.
All right.
And I would be willing to bet a large amount of money that the IRS is never going to come after you for that one.
I should hope not. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Okay, all right. So I did pretty good on the first one.
Oh, you did. You did.
So let's see how I can do on this second one, because Dick did give me a little bit of a. He said something about agricultural, because we were trying to look at our show notes, and he let that slip. But that was the only thing I knew about that beforehand. Yeah. I had no idea anything else. I have nothing but confusion and cluelessness about what his second object service whatever is going to be. So let's see if I can go 2 for 2 this week.
Complete surprise. All right. Scenario number 2.
Okay.
Industrial emergency moisture remediation.
Industrial emergency.
Mm-hmm. Emergency moisture remediation.
Okay.
This is a company that specializes in emergency moisture remediation for industrial buildings such as warehouses, food storage facilities, and manufacturing plants. Setup. A pipe bursts overnight in a 40,000 square foot warehouse. There's no structural damage, but humidity levels spike and stored product is at risk. The company receives a call at 2:30 a.m. and has a crew on site within 90 minutes.
Okay.
Here's what the crew does. They deploy industrial dehumidifiers and air movers, monitor humidity levels for 72 hours, log readings for insurance and compliance purposes, remove equipment once conditions stabilize. So their equipment, they take their equipment out,
right,
and then deliver reporting and documentation to the client.
Oh wow! Okay, is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
You notice they don't do any repair. It's just moisture control.
Okay, so their objective is to come in and keep the moisture from becoming more of a problem than it already has.
Correct.
Okay. And I'm assuming this is obviously as an emergency service, this is a come in, fix the problem, stop the problem from getting worse, and you're out.
Yeah.
It's emergency, so I'm going to add a premium for that. Obviously, that's going to be significantly more expensive. In a warehouse that is, you said 40,000 feet? 40,000 square feet. That's also going to take a significant amount of equipment to get to deal with. I would assume that based on the context of this situation, that the water is a issue for the whole 40,000 feet, not like I had a toilet line rupture and it's just flooding the bathroom next to the warehouse.
Okay.
This is tougher because of the fact that it's a large scale service, and it's emergency.
And it takes place over a 72-hour.
Right, yeah, because they're there cleaning it up and it's fixed within 72 hours. So that level of expediency obviously is going to add a significant premium to something like that. The reality is from a perspective of who's going to have a 40,000 square foot, you're looking at a very micro niche of clientele that can actually even afford this service. So I'm going to go with my first guess, and I'm probably underselling it a little bit, but I just feel like this is probably about where it's going to land, and who knows? I could be way off on this one because the bigger the emergency adds to so much of a premium that makes it more difficult. But
How much of a premium do you think it adds?
The fact that they have it fixed in 72 hours, I would say, if not double.
They don't do the fixing. They just
no. I'm talking about like they keep it from getting worse. I would say that it's at least double, if not triple, because of the fact that they have to be there immediately. Like, sure. I have a leak now. I need you here stopping the water damage. So,
yeah.
But the fact that it is 72 hours and it is slightly contained within that, I'm going to go with $18,000.
Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, Clint has not seen the details of the pricing.
How close am I?
Okay, well, let's go over some costs here. Internal costs for a 72-hour incident. Crew availability and response pay is valued at about $1,600.
Okay.
Equipment depreciation and wear at $2,200.
Okay.
Insurance and liability allocation about $1,100.
Okay.
Monitoring, documentation, and administrative costs are $600. Transportation, setup, and teardown of equipment is $750. The estimated total internal cost is between $6,000 and $6,500.
Okay.
Realistic market pricing. Typical invoice range could be between $14,000 and $22,000 per incident.
And I'm like dead in the middle of that.
Yes, you were exactly dead in the middle.
Wow. Oh, that. Hey, you know what? Apparently I've got a knack for this.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's
we'll
funny.
See if we can fool you next week.
Yeah. Like this could be funny because, like I said, I had no idea what that would actually cost. I did work with a company that was kind of similar to the agricultural drone stuff.
Interesting.
But they did not do what you're talking about. They were actually more of a construction site review. So they would go into like these large scale building construction sites and they would scan the land to make sure that, like, for example, when they're building, stuff like a skyscraper or anything over, I think it's over like 5 to 10 stories, that they do like geological surveys and stuff like that. So it's similar, but not exactly the same thing. But theirs is like a monthly software subscription because you're paying for them to go in and scan everything. And then they give you like constant reports for that region based on the information that they give. So it was not really a apples to apples comparison from a pricing perspective. But I'm shocked that I was able to hit both of them.
Really? So shocked.
Yeah. So okay. So challenge on the second one. Let's see if you can nail me on how to deduct this, because this one's gonna be hard.
Is it? No, it is harder. I'm trying to think. Like, I was thinking, there was one I was thinking of, and I was like, no. That one doesn't make sense. I was gonna ask you to do like the federal government, like the army, like, but does the army pay taxes?
I mean, no.
Right, exactly. They are taxes.
Yeah. They file what's called I would assume they would. They're operated essentially as a nonprofit organization, which if you want to become incredibly wealthy, that's probably one of the best ways to do it. Just start a nonprofit organization.
Wink, wink.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But no,
or an NGO.
Yeah, the military does not pay taxes in the sense that we would pay taxes. So there's not really anything they would have to deduct there. They would have to track it from an expense perspective, but they have to track all of that information anyway. So
it would end up costing about 3 times as much. But
exactly, yeah, because it would the emergency would immediately turn into double the 72 hours to get it fixed because good luck getting into the building.
Yep. Yep. Gosh, man, I'm trying to think because, like, to me, it seems like there are a lot of applications for this, not just industrial, but like,
Yeah.
all right, I got one. I got one. I got
Okay.
one. I got one. I got one. Okay. It is a scuba school.
Ooh. Okay. A scuba school.
Scuba school.
Okay. And they need industrial emergency moisture remediation.
At the scuba school.
Okay.
The school has its own pool, by the way, and all their equipment for doing self-contained underwater breathing apparatus training
Okay.
and teaching
So
and practice.
that one actually seems like it would be counterintuitive, but actually it would probably be pretty straightforward because they have to have significant water lines to get the water into a pool for a school like that. And from a perspective of where the school is located, is this a standalone only scuba school? Or are they using an already existing pool and just doing the school in that location?
So they're actually in a defunct, like large mall that had a gym in it, and they've kind of
Okay.
taken over the pool in the gym.
Okay.
But the gym's right next to the old food court, which is now where the crack dealer works out of.
Okay. Well, barring all of that largely irrelevant information about where the crack dealer works,
I don't know about irrelevant. But...
yeah. So yeah. If I would say, then let's assume that that there was any kind of leak in the main water line that's used to fill up the pool, that could be causing levels of black mold to be growing in the locker room, which is where the water main lines could be coming through. Then you would have to have some kind of company that keeps the water from filling up the behind the lockers and stuff like that, because there's a lot of areas where you're not going to be able to access them very readily in a building like that. If you got a pool, you got to have a locker room that's connected to it. So, and especially if it was a defunct gym, that's what they're going to have in there. So, yeah, that one would be just, yeah. They've got to make sure that the water leak that happened didn't get water all over everything and start causing black mold to grow everywhere, making everybody that goes to the scuba school sick.
I feel like moisture remediation is a tough one because it's like,
yeah, that's a very specific one, and so it's like,
yeah,
if you have any kind of water leak, you're going to have that kind of a service. I mean, that could be functional in your own house. So
I mean, I got a dehumidifier for my house just because sometimes,
yeah,
stuff happens. So
exactly. So that was our new segment. So we're still workshopping a name, but the what's it cost? How can I deduct this segment? I would say I did pretty good this week. Amazingly enough,
pulls a price out of his butt. That's what it should be called.
That sounds good to me.
All right, good.
Oh man,
and then somehow is right. What the heck?
Yeah. So yeah. If we're yeah, that's going to be a regular staple going forward. So if you have any suggestions for items, services, whatever that you would like to see if I can guess, send it on through a comment. Yeah, send it on through a comment and see if I can get it right. We'll do some research and get it in here. So let us know. So that brings us to our final segment of the day, which is going deep with Dick. So tell us about our priorities this week, Mr. Dick.
Hey, I talked a little bit about this morning in the short I released. If you haven't seen it, go hit up the Clint Terrific Show YouTube channel and take a peek at it.
Yep.
But I alluded
Just the tips.
to Just the tips. Yes, just the tips. Um,
Just the
but
tips
I
with
alluded to
Dick.
talking a little more about it tonight.
Yeah.
And this morning was the quickie. We'll go a little longer
Have a
tonight.
little bit
So
more stamina right now.
I do. Well, I'm slow. I'm quickly waning. It's been a long day. So
Did you take a blue
uh,
chew?
I didn't.
I don't really know what
I
those are, but I've heard that they're blue and they do things that formerly blue things used to do. I believe Viagra used to be
right.
blue.
Yeah. No. I see those commercials and I go, none of this applies to me.
Well, maybe you should take one before our podcast so you can last a little bit longer.
Fair. It's fair. I'm
Although we
always
don't need you to
worried
last
about.
too much longer because I start to get tired in about 15 minutes after you do. So,
Welcome to 40, my friend.
amen.
And how? So,
So, going deep, priorities.
yeah, I was talking about priorities, and it's a good thing to have.
Yeah.
Like I was talking about how, I was going into work, and it seems like I got tons of stuff to do, so I had to set, my priorities so I could focus. And that's all well and good for work, which is one small part of our lives.
Uh-huh.
But what do you do when like all of life just seems overwhelming and there's just so much to do? Because it can be, right? Like sometimes you sit down and you just go like, holy crap, we have so much going on. Like this last weekend, was a pretty busy weekend for my wife and I. The kids had an event at church. They had a recital, and my son had a basketball game. And somewhere in there, we had to do all of our laundry, and I had to cook all, because I do some meal prepping for my lunches. I had to do all my meal prepping, and it's just kind of like, are we ever going to get all of it done? Like, it's
Yeah.
a lot, and that's just being at home and doing family stuff.
Yeah.
And then when you add in, hey, I'd like to have time to sit down and, read a book or play a video game or watch my favorite YouTube creators with their newest episodes out because the ones that I like watching tend to release on the weekend. Or thinking about like what you have going on going into work on Monday.
Hmm.
Like it's a lot. So I was thinking about priorities and why it's important to set in and recognize priorities, because we get overwhelmed when we start looking, and this might seem counterintuitive. When we look too much at the big picture, you
Yeah.
can get lost
Hmm.
in the big picture very easily. And though I think it's still a good idea to have kind of in the back of your mind, a big picture of where you're going. Um, Focusing on that big picture too much, I think, can lead to us being overwhelmed because we start failing to recognize some of the natural priorities that things have that help us to focus on what needs to be done now, get it done, and then move on to the next one because
Uh-huh.
everything just seems like it needs to be done now all at once,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And that's not the case. It's just objectively not the case. So, how do you break down your responsibilities into those smaller parts? And I think that is a reflection you have to ask. Sorry, have to have. Let me get a drink. A reflection
Yeah.
you have to have on what your big picture is and what kind of the direction you want to go
Right.
with life. And we were talking a little bit, I alluded to some of this, talked a little bit about it in our first segment about family. And, as a man, as a husband and a father, the older I get, the more important, family is. So I make family my first priority. And then I think about, okay, well, what other things are there? Like I have personal priorities, right?
Hmm.
Obviously, staying up late and shooting the breeze with old Clint here is one of my priorities because him and I have wanted to do something like this for several years, and
Yeah.
so I'm making time for it. We're making time for it when we can. It's a priority. It's a personal priority. I've got professional priorities too. So, where does what come in? And I think, especially for me, like family's got to be the first priority. As a man, as a father, as a
Yeah.
husband, what do I have to do to make sure my family is secure? And when I say secure, like, financially, like, how are they secure in their relationship with me as the father, as the husband?
Yep.
What do I need to do to ensure that? What do I need to do to ensure their actual like physical or even emotional safety? Because there's a lot of stuff out there.
Yeah.
And what can I do to present them and give them opportunity? Those I think are my number one goals. My number one priorities. And after that, I start looking at myself. Don't look to myself first. I look to them first. And
Yeah.
I was. It's one of the things that I know we've talked about before. Just I feel like so much of our culture has become so narcissistic with social media
Yeah.
that we esteem ourselves maybe a little more than we ought,
Yes.
um,
Very
as it
much so.
were. And I think that level of narcissism actually is a huge contributor to a lot of depression. And I didn't say it in my last two shorts, but one of the things I believe, and we're talking about having a good day. If you're not having a good day, one surefire way to make your day better is to make somebody else's days better
Oh
first.
yeah. Definitely.
And that way we kind of start putting things in perspective for ourselves. But it is important to have priorities in your personal life because you can't give out of an empty coffer, right? You got to do
Yeah.
stuff to fill up yourself so that you have to give to others,
Yep.
which is why it's important for me to, spend time. I like to read and journal. It's really important. I go to the gym early in the morning because then I've filled emotional, mental stimulation and spiritual stimulation and physical stimulation. Um,
You
and
can't
that gives
be
me a lot more.
penetrated if you've never penetrated something else.
Yes.
You need to let yourself be penetrated first before you worry
Yeah,
about
yeah.
penetrating others.
Right, right. Yes. Like there's a give and take there, and
Yes.
it's tis more blessed to. Never mind. I'm not going there.
Yeah. Oh man.
Um. Anyway,
Sorry, I didn't mean to
so
completely derail your railing.
well, I shall rail on. And then I think there's also professional priorities, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Obviously you want to do well, and doing well in your job allows you to do more for your family,
Yep.
allows you to do more for yourself. Um, and sometimes to do that, and people struggle with this, I think, especially when you work for someone else. If you want to do well at your job, you have to swallow your ego, and you've got to think about your
You better
employer,
not
think
spit out your
about,
ego.
nope, don't you swallow
Swallow
that
your
ego.
ego.
You gulp that down, and you think about your employer. Maybe not while you're swallowing, but you think
Oh
about
my
your
god.
employer.
Wow. Oh
Eh,
man, this is going real deep.
this is this is going a little
Oh man.
sideways. I'm gonna finish this off here real quick. Then, um, there is definitely interplay between those different categories
Oh
of
yeah, for
principles.
sure.
But I think you definitely need to decide like what is the most. Am I the most important? I definitely was before I got married or started dating,
Yeah.
right? Like
It's easy to
building a
be when
better
you're the
me
only one there
was
is.
right. But when you start adding other people into the equation, and I believe as a male of the species, we have a certain responsibility that the
Hominid.
females don't. Yeah. Um, part of that is a duty to
Duty.
yeah. So
I'm completely ruining his going deep segment, and I don't mean to be, but it's just he's just walking right into these left after right after left after right after south.
See, in this,
And this is
and
why
I'm laughing.
Me and Ricky get along so well, because
It's true. We go deep really well together.
oh man. Well, I in a serious note, I do understand what you're saying, and I do think that there is some level of wisdom to taking a step back and making a priority list for yourself every night, honestly. Because if you made a list of all of the things that you wanted to accomplish at the beginning of the year, that's probably going to be a pretty short list. But if you make a list every night of a list of, let's say 2 business things, 2 personal and family things, and 1 health thing, So I'm going to do this for work. I'm going to do this for work. I'm going to do this for my family. I'm going to do this for my wife. I'm going to do this for my personal physical well-being. And those are the 5 things that I'm going to make sure to accomplish in some capacity tomorrow. And you wrote those down every day, and then you looked at that list at the end of the year. That list is going to be monstrous, and you're going to have accomplished an enormous amount of work.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this a few times in the past, that the best way to eat an elephant is 1 bite at a time.
Obviously.
And so, along with what you're saying, like making priorities for yourself, prioritize the little stuff to whittle away at the monster that is your what you're trying to accomplish. And as you do that, you'll make significant progress if you're working on it every day. I think I've heard it said recently that if you spend, I think it's like 17 minutes a day on, learning something new, or, like, hey, I want to learn how to play guitar, and I play 17 minutes a day. After a year, just for 1 year, if you played 17 minutes a day, you would be better on the guitar than, I think it's, or you would have more experience on the guitar than 97% of the population of the planet. And after 5 years, 99.9% of the population on the planet. So just whittle away at the monster, and don't discount the little stuff.
Yeah, and that's part of the problem with the way our brains work sometimes, is that we see, I want to be good at the guitar, and you see, insert your favorite, guitarist here from whatever band, and you see, oh man, I can never be like that. They've been playing for forever. When, like, just like anybody else, they started small. They started doing the little things. Any big or even medium-sized project or goal looks bigger when you just look at the end product instead of breaking it down and looking at each step, and you go, actually, you know what, that's not that bad.
Yeah.
So, dissect what it is you want to do, break it down into those pieces, and then, take a look at all those pieces and say, okay, which ones need to be done first? Like, which ones have to be done? What has to be done before this can be done? Well, I got to do A before I can do B. Well, so A is the priority until it's completed, and then B is the priority.
Right. Yeah.
So you just have to sit down and think about it a little bit logically and sequentially, and it'll make a big difference.
Right.
And this can be applied, really, it can be applied to any area of your life, I firmly believe. So,
yeah. Yep.
Prioritize.
Yep.
And
prioritize.
Execute.
Prioritize your priorities.
Yep.
Well, that's all I had for this week. So I think I'm assuming that's the gist of the going deep segment for you this week.
I'm just it out right now.
Yeah, me too. It's been a crazy week. So, yeah, we're
It's
gonna wrap
Tuesday.
things up here. Thank you everybody for stopping by, and we will see you next week. Maybe we'll see if Mr. Dick over here can actually and come up with a better few items to trip me up, and maybe I'll
It's a
get them
challenge
wrong
now.
next week. Yeah, give me some
Yeah,
challenges. So, and I honestly
I feel
like
the
when he told me what
challenges-
they were, I thought they were really good. I thought it was going to be I have no idea and I'm going to be way off, and I could not. I'm kind of surprised that I landed as close as I did, but
Still mad about it.
yeah. So anyway, well, thank you everybody. We'll see you next week, and
Thanks
have
for stopping in.
have a good end of your January, and good luck getting your taxes done, because that's coming. So we'll have some tips in the next few weeks on ways to make things easier and better for yourself doing taxes. And
Yay, taxes.
yay! So yeah, stick around and we'll give you some ideas how to make that less painful than it already is. So
Bye.
bye.